Welcome to the Pfeiffer Family Podcast. I'm Niles, and this is Kim.
Hi, guys.
So I know last time we talked about we were going to do a tour of the South, and we're still going to do that. But y'all's feedback had so much curiosity about backgrounds that I thought we had to do a deep dive into Kimberly's background to start us off, and then we'll get to the tour and stuff. So, Kim, are you ready to be grilled and interviewed?
No, but let's go for it anyway.
Okay, cool. So I thought it'd be interesting to start us with your dad, because he did happen to be in the news, and that's pretty noteworthy, and it gives us an anchor point for understanding why you're so driven.
Wow, that's a great question. So my dad, in the early 90s, he was on a oil rig accident. There was a typhoon in the area, and it caused something on the barge to catch on fire. Everyone had to literally jump off the barge. This was off the coast of Hong Kong.
Okay, Hong Kong.
And yeah, he had to jump off. When he jumped, he hit something where it cut up his leg, his arm.
Yeah.
So he was in the water for, he said, about 8 hours waiting for rescue while he was seeing like his buddies floating around that had died.
Yeah.
With waves that were like 12 feet high and
Huge.
so you're there in the freezing cold water off the coast of Hong Kong with cuts and scrapes and freezing to death,
And your friends' bodies.
your friends' bodies are around
circling
you.
your body. So
You don't know when rescue's coming, and he said he literally saw the light, and that he experienced this moment between life and death, which, if you want to believe it, you can, you're not, but that's something that he says that he saw very clearly happen.
That's right. He said that's when he knew for sure he believed in God, was during that between life and death time.
Exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, that was a very traumatic experience for him as someone that grew up working on oil rigs his whole life. My grandpa did. It's something all his brothers did. He had a total of six brothers, so he's this one of the seven. And so that was something that was really intense to happen to him. He's still traumatized till this day.
Last we talked to him on the phone, he had mentioned having a document that he had written. Maybe it was for insurance, or I forget what it was for.
He does have notes on like all the details of what happened on the accident, but he's never even shared it with me. It's a very personal experience that he went through. And I pray that someday he'll let me read it. I would love to even like publish a book about it, because I can't imagine it could even be a movie if you think about like just how intense that must have been.
Yes.
And thinking that you're done. And so, yeah. So that's my dad's, story.
Intense, awesome story. I have two follow-up questions, but I'll just feed you the first one first. How did that impact your life as his daughter and the family? How did it sort of shape you, inform you that you grew up with this offshore rigging background for the family background, and then also this tragedy that sort of marked your dad's life before you even showed up?
Well, it definitely toughened me up really quickly. When you work on oil rigs, you're around really tough men all the time that are doing these jobs that only really tough men, can be doing, to be out in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of nowhere in the dark. And so being raised by someone like that, you can imagine there's no like, you poor thing, or feeling sorry for you, or, there's just never none of that for me. Which is okay. It made me, very strong and very prepared. I'm prepared for everything and anything. But yeah, it was kind of like army life, I guess. I don't know.
I think that's a good example or a good reference point for people. And I would say, so even with your mom, so how did offshore mentality and works kind of like spread to be such a big part of your background? Because I know your mom also worked offshore.
Yeah, she ended up working also on oil rigs, inside of the oil rig, more on the administrative side. But separately from my dad, after they were already divorced, she was, needing a higher income job, and that's what she thought to do and went and did.
Good idea.
And during that time, she made good money, and she grew in her career, and she got to travel all over the world.
So it formed toughness in you and a drive in you that both of your parents had worked offshore.
Yeah.
First your father, but then by the time you were born, he was not offshore anymore, if I'm...
He went back. Yeah, so whenever I was born, my dad at that point was retired from the accident. He was given a $1 million payout at the time with a monthly pension until he passes. I don't even know if I should probably mention that. We'll see if I'll...
Yeah, you can cut the
But
part.
he was rewarded $1 million for the accident. And with that, he was able to retire and not have to work on oil rigs anymore.
So he was very present, as I understand it. So a big early influence was a tough oil rigger.
Yeah.
Oil rigging.
Well, I will say, like, during my first, up to 5 years old, he was very sweet. He spoiled me up probably a little too much for a child that age. But he was a good dad. And for that period of my life. Later on, like whenever I was becoming an adult, is whenever I think he was ready to toughen me up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got that more clear now. And your mom having to administrate many roughneck fellas probably also meant that at all stages of your life, there was always some sort of a drill sergeant mindset type of influence present. Because even the uncle offshore oil rig, when you stayed with your uncle for a little bit, well, their family, not just one guy, but
yeah, it was. That's why I have to read so many books and improve my emotional intelligence. But yeah, also if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be able to pull these long days, these long hours, not complain about having to do the work we have to do, and know that at some point it will pay off, and not feel sorry for yourself.
I think those are two big things: is the no complaining and the no feeling sorry for yourself. Are things I admire about you, that I admire about your mom, and that I admire about your dad.
Thank you.
So that's a family cultural trait about you guys that's definitely formed a strong mindset in you.
Yeah,
that's cool.
But no one's perfect. Like my dad, with that payout that he got, maybe he should have purchased some assets and held on to those. And now he's retired, living in Brazil, living comfortably, but he could be living so much better. And we meet so many of these people that work, in the oil field or in the offshore industry, and they start getting, these payouts, or they are paid very well for their work, but they're going and spending it on trips and on things, but they're not buying assets.
It's so the way because I see your stepdad. I've watched him for several years now go through the stress and volatility of contractual oil rig work, which it pays great, but then you're also like down for 2 weeks to 2 months. And in that time frame, it's very hard for anybody to go from extreme structure and discipline to complete freedom to extreme structure. Exactly. And so that inconsistency makes it hard to, I think, most anybody psychologically pull off long-term financial planning, which doesn't mean it's not possible. It just sometimes means guidance can help. And you've seen firsthand how to guide or help guide.
I mean, honestly, I would love to take the opportunity that we have here, just talking about it and realizing that so many of these people around me that worked offshore and worked so many years, so many hours, you spend half of your life away from your family.
Big sacrifice.
Like, that's a huge sacrifice to me. That's sometimes maybe there's not enough money that will ever pay to repay the time that you've lost. But if you could be
birthdays, holidays.
There's the birthdays where you don't get to spend with your kids. There's Christmas, there's Thanksgiving, there's your anniversary. You don't get to choose when you're home and when you're not. And then if you lose a contract, you're out the door, and who knows when you're hired again. And then who knows when you get sick? What if you get hurt? You can't, if you don't pass a physical, you can't work offshore anymore.
And I've seen photos, and some of the injuries you see are gruesome and harrowing, and it will build your admiration for the guys who are out there providing us what we need to have electricity and everything. Like over 80% of what we use probably is derived from their work, their work and sacrifice. And so thanks, guys, first of all.
Yeah. And so we also want to take this time to, maybe plant a seed for you to start thinking about investing in assets and investment properties that will generate you income, that will go up in value over the years, because you don't know what tomorrow looks like. And maybe you want to leave something for your children, and you're putting in all this hard work for what? Like, why are you going to sacrifice this time from your family, from your wife, from your, from your own free time, and not have anything to say for it? And so...
And when it comes to your thinking in terms of, like, so why real estate asset then, lady? If you're telling me how to spend this hard money, you know how hard I worked for, to justify that point, real estate is more stable.
It is. I don't know if you guys remember what was the coin? Dogecoin.
Yeah.
Dogecoin was the thing, like, I believe 4 or 5 years ago, out of nowhere. And it was a very volatile coin. And my stepdad was like, yeah, everybody on the oil rig is buying it. And, we need to put money in it right now. And there's a guy on his oil rig that put in like $1,000 and it turned into like $1 million. Like, I don't know the exact numbers, but it was like on that scale.
To the moon.
But then he sold it too soon. And then at the end of the day, he ended up losing the $1 million that he could have had. And so I don't know. In my opinion, there's no such thing as easy money.
True.
You might get lucky. I'm not saying there's no such thing as luck. There's no such thing as a blessing. But real estate is just so safe. And especially in Orlando, like...
Comparatively, it is, I'd say, generally considered among the safest assets.
Exactly. Compared to other locations across the United States, when this is one of the most visited cities in America.
It is.
So we're just saying. Just take a look.
Back to the second question I had, but quickly, thank you so much for... clarifying what we have to offer to anybody who works in that industry, because we have a passion for making sure that you have stability for your retirement.
Exactly.
And as you go up, intermittent the seasonality of it to buffer that volatility and save you some stress in the meantime, and maybe keep you from having to go do other work when you're at home and could otherwise be with your family. All of these things we understand, feel for, and think that we provide a solution for.
Exactly. So if you want to just talk and get some numbers going, we would love to talk to you. And so just send us a DM or WhatsApp or text message, email, letter. I'm just kidding. But we would love to help you, and maybe you can get your first investment property, or if you already have one, get a couple more. Okay.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much for setting us up for that opportunity, Kim, and thank you guys for listening. I think it's time for us to move on to our relocation case study, because if we're going to offer to help deliver assets that will help people from a place we care about in our background, we should be able to show how and why that's a good idea. And so I thought it'd be fun to use our relocation journey across the South, looking for the right place for us, as a case study for how we approach relocation decisions for others.
Okay.
And then we'll go into, if you're looking to do assets instead of relocation, what do we think about like acquiring the asset? What does that negotiation process look like? Mm-hmm. Is there a formula or a strategy? And so how do you feel about those topics moving forward?
I'm excited. Let's talk about our relocation. So you guys know how we met. We were in Texas, and my mom at some point in there had moved to the United States. She was living in Texas. She had a friend say, I think you should come and visit Orlando, and you need to get out of Texas. There's no Brazilians there. You're feeling lonely. There's no beaches nearby, that have blue water. I love you, Texas, but Galveston just isn't it. And so my mom was like, you know what? I'm just going to go. My mom put everything in a U-Haul and just moved to Orlando. She didn't know what apartment she was going to. It was just all very like, let's just go. And so a year later, I meet Niles, and I hadn't visited Orlando yet since she had moved. And she said, why don't you come to Orlando and visit? And we came and spent a whole week with her. And we did all the parks, all the water parks, the springs. And we really did everything that Orlando had to offer. And we went back home and we were like, oh my God, there's nothing to do here. Yeah. We're going to have to like every year save up to get to have like 1 week of joy. And then
for my
however many rest of the year weeks just suffering and working.
I remember my taking away. So I'm here taking a stipend to be a coach full time that keeps me up. So I wouldn't get to go to bed at 7 often because I had to handle film for both sports. And so I'd actually oftentimes be going to bed at 11 or 12 and waking up at 3. During the season, most every night there was a game for soccer and or football. And so I'm having to work that hard and work in the summers at a call center, which having done it, it sucks and it's hard.
Yeah, it's so hard.
Having to do all that work to have zero upward mobility and zero margin in terms of lifestyle investment. I became obsessed with the mindset of investment and lifestyle investment. And that happened on the trip when we went to visit your mom here. It seemed like there's opportunity, especially in an area of our mutual interest, like real estate and houses and sales. And so we thought, okay, that could be better.
Yeah. Because at that point, like when we met, I had just promoted to sales coach. And I was like, I'm just going to keep moving up in this telemarketing company. And this is it in this small town. And then once I got that job and was doing really well and was seeing what the actual job was, which is having to tell grown-ups to do their job, I was like, no, I'm not going to be a babysitter.
We were giving so many people rides to work that couldn't figure out their own ways to work. And it's like, okay, buddy, we can't be on the hook for your transportation for the rest of your life. Like, figure this out.
And I was working a 4 to 12, so 4 p.m. to midnight shift. So I would then get home, and then, I would take a shower and want to watch some TV because you want to relax. And
so it was brutal.
Time you go to bed, it's like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you're waking up at noon. You're making lunch, your day's over, you're just depressed. And this is just turned into a cycle. I wasn't going to the gym. It just seemed like there was like no light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep. So and all the people were feeling trapped or bitter or, often fallen into addictions. We mentioned last time that I had been drinking more than I wanted to. Well, every other colleague I had made that culturally acceptable to me and almost, influences and stuff. And it's normal there, but we wanted better. And so we saw a chance to move somewhere with opportunity and lateral mobility and upward mobility for us to move into different types of sales or different types of leadership positions. And we took it, but it was a leap of faith into, like, all of a sudden COVID hit, right?
Yeah.
And so let's get into the relocation case study. So we moved to Florida. And what was your first feel about Florida upon getting there versus Texas? And what did you like about Orlando versus our NAC area?
Well, honestly, we had so much to do. So it'd be like, what are we doing this weekend? There's like a whole list to choose from. And that would be so exciting to me because everything's accessible. Disney, you can have a Disney pass. You're paying $20 to $30 a month. So then you have the water parks. We would go to the water parks on the weekends. There's Universal City Walk where you don't even have to be a member of Universal, but you can go walk around at night. go to the stores and the restaurants.
Yeah.
Disney Springs, which is another Disney outdoor commercial area with restaurants and stores and shows, which is one of my favorite spots, honestly. So
and the natural. So we were swimming with
oh my
manatees. One of those.
gosh,
I think it was
yes.
on that trip with your mother that we got
Yes.
in the freezing cold water, and that's not the sound they make at all. They didn't make any sound, but I'm trying to paint a picture here. They come up through the water up behind us, and hey there, little human, and
Yeah.
I screamed like a girl and jumped into Kimberly's
got
arms,
one
and she
too.
actually put me up into the. No, okay, I'm just.
Well, we had one tube. Him and I, we rented one tube, and
We
we were
only
like,
rented
yeah, we'll
one
just,
tube.
float. And then out of nowhere, there's all these manatees around our feet, and we're like, we love the water. We're beach people,
Yeah, we are.
water people. But
And animal people.
if there's an animal near my feet, I don't care what it is.
Oh,
We
why?
just, that's just not who we are. And so we were like fighting to get on this tube and just not letting it get to our feet. So anyway,
Yeah.
but it was still a beautiful experience.
It was.
And so, yeah, we just fell in love with the natural beauty, with the parks, with the things to go do and everything, just being accessible. Because I know of families that I see in all these Disney groups that are like spending and having to save thousands and thousands of dollars just to bring their family for like a very like, not even as grandiose experience as it could be. And so we just wanted to have access to that whenever we wanted to. If this was going to be where we were going to keep going to, it's like, why not just live there and make it work? So that's what worked for us. And then also having the beaches. There's Clearwater on the Atlantic side, and then Clearwater on the.
I don't know the sides. I don't know the
Gulf
neighborhoods.
of Mexico side.
I don't know the maps.
Okay.
I don't
so
know
anyway, I'll
those
restart
things.
that part. So there's Clearwater. There's what's the other beach on this side? Cocoa Beach. There's Cocoa Beach. There's Clearwater. There's Anna Maria Island. That's like my favorite
That
spot.
one.
There's a little spot there that I'm not gonna say the name because I need it to be our like little secret.
Is it?
spot. No, don't say it. Don't say it.
Okay. I was gonna try to find a code, but I'm not smart enough in this.
No, maybe I'll share with people that close with us.
Yeah, you DM, but this spot is a magical spot if
It's
it's the
so
one I'm
magical.
thinking of,
Yeah.
because I lit up when I was like, I hope she tells him about that place.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll keep the secret for you. Darn. So Florida, from small town Texas, loving Florida. So lifestyle reasons, money reasons, social reasons. Brazilians here, you're Brazilian. Mother's here, you're her daughter. It's all going good. But so why then Phoenix, Arizona? Why is Scottsdale on your list?
Wow, those are great questions.
Sorry, I didn't mean to ask it in an adversarial
We moved here.
way.
It was May of 2019. I started working as my mom's assistant as a property manager. He started subbing at a high school. We were still trying to figure out how to get his teacher license in Florida. Then we found out that Florida has the lowest salary for teachers, and we were still trying to figure out what we were going to do with his career because he was also in the middle of getting his master's in Arabic, which could be used for government studies, for maybe becoming a professor at a college. So that's where our vision was at that time. He was going to be a college professor, and I was just going to be a cute stay-at-home mom. And he was going to retire me from having to work. And
We're
so
still going to hope to retire.
I was doing everything possible for him to be able to just focus on studying and me helping that dream come true so that we can have our kids. Like this whole time, we're just trying to start and have a family.
That's it.
But we're not going to do it if it's in the middle of this, like just rush and throwing my baby at daycare, which if you do, I completely understand. But I just want to really be involved in my child's, raising our child. And so that's just something that we're really prioritizing to make happen.
Yes, so it's been very rushed and hectic since we've been successful. And then back when we were in Florida, before we went to Arizona, the problem was not much money because a lot of my time was spent in school. It was a very rigorous program.
It was.
And Arabic is a fairly rigorous discipline. And so I was kind of like at my lowest point health-wise, if we want to mention health and lifestyle, like I think I dropped into the 130s, 138.
Really, really skinny.
Had a horrible looking beard and was getting a little bit obsessive about my schoolwork, where I expanded the project and then expanded it more. And my advisor was like, okay, there's got to be a limit to how much you're going to expand it. But
you did it.
Well, I did it, and I got great feedback such that we thought I was a lock. So it was successful in the faculty and administrations.
What was the letter that you got from one of the professors?
Yeah, I didn't top 1% of the top 1% in terms of the product I delivered and my contributions to the cohort. And so we thought we were a lock for this master's program in Phoenix, Arizona.
No, your PhD.
Sorry, I misspoke.
Yeah, no, you're good. So then he's doing, he's finishing up his master's. Then COVID hits. Everyone's laid off. Everyone's at home. We're trying to figure out what's going on. I start my own spiritual journey start, reading the Bible and really having deep experiences with the Lord. Yeah. And we were my mom was also about to move back to Brazil. At that time, we were living with her until we were getting on our feet. And then COVID happens. Then she's moving to Brazil. And we're kind of like, well, what are we doing in Orlando? Like,
Yeah.
if my mom's leaving, there's nothing holding us here. He was wanting to get his PhD. One of the schools that you were most interested in was it ASU?
The
I know
one,
it was the one in Phoenix.
it's not the Sun Devils one. It's the Wildcats one.
Okay.
Arizona.
So,
University of Arizona
University
Wildcats.
of Arizona.
And
we
they,
moved. Yeah. Anyway.
sorry, well, just quickly, they had the one of 2 or 3 Persian
Exactly.
PhD programs in the nation.
There was
so,
either that one or Georgetown or one other school.
Right, and so we approached that decision similarly, where we looked at the lifestyle, we looked at the neighborhoods, we zoomed in at what's Kim going to be doing, is she going to have anything to do? And so for us, the closest best match was Phoenix. So we kind of moved there in anticipation of, with a reference letter like top 1% of top 1% and Sigma or magna cum laude. I've already forgotten which each one of those means.
One of the highest ones
but
is.
Perfect GPA the whole way through, and going above and beyond in various cohort activities. And we thought it was just a for sure guaranteed lock from all the feedback we had gotten. And so we just went on faith with that in mind and moved. But we also researched heavily before we picked the one place we were going to. And so how did you feel about this deciding on Tempe, but Phoenix?
So this is actually a really good question that I want to take the time here to talk to you guys specifically about, because I am a deep researcher.
She is.
I Googled for months and months and months. I'd never been to Arizona. I'd never even been to the West Coast. And I found this beautiful brand new apartment that had just been built. This is great. I looked at the area.
Yes, you did, yeah.
I did everything. When we get there,
impressed.
this is a beautiful apartment, a beautiful community. It's brand new. But guess what? We're close to the airport. Close to the airport meant a lot of homeless people around. And at night, they would just be walking around on the West Coast. It's intense. And so that was something that I was shocked to hear. And then my grandma calls me, and she had lived in Phoenix before, but I didn't say anything to anyone really, because we were doing it like just between us. And then when she finds out we're living close to the airport, she's like, oh no, you shouldn't be living there. And so that's just one thing I want to say. If you are relocating, it's really important that you talk to someone that knows the area that you are going to. Not that we can't steer you to pick a location. No. But if you, we can help you find the area that will go best with your lifestyle.
We can't tell you any opinions about the surrounding neighborhoods, and we will never advise you in such a way. However, we can encourage you to do your own due diligence. One great idea some people, some couples, some families consider is going around 6:30 p.m. to the neighborhood that you're hoping to live at, and just sit in the car for 30 minutes on your after work with your partner and observe the other kids in the neighborhood. And that's how you can, if you want to. Something I've seen lots of, like my parents would do that and stuff.
I remember on a Peterson podcast, he was also saying that was something that they would do.
They would go late at night though. Like they would stay the whole night.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, honestly, it's important. So anyway, I love the apartment, but afterwards I was like, maybe I wouldn't have picked that area. Okay. Yeah. So, but anyway, we're living in Phoenix. This is December 2020. We moved to Phoenix.
That's right.
With everything in our car, we send a little U-Haul pod. And we moved into this apartment. I don't have a job. He just starts Ubering just to start making money as soon as possible. Uber there paid actually very well compared to if he were to teach.
I got kind of excited at first.
We're still kind of sitting there waiting till January for an answer to see if he actually gets into this PhD program that we moved there for. And I'm praying just to get a job at Carvana, because they paid very well. It'd be work at home, so he could be out driving while I'm at home working. It was only 4 days a week, but then it just didn't end up what it needed to be. But anyway, we'll get into that later.
Well, should I go into detail about what it was like there in Phoenix? I don't want to portray Phoenix in a negative way by how hard. Phoenix. So Carvana was a hard job.
Yeah, it was.
I'm sure they're a great company, but that job was very stressful on you.
It was 12 hours a day.
And no environmental changes. It's 12 hours a day, and then I'm coming home from ride sharing. I'm not really in the mood to drive us anywhere, And so you got kind of home locked.
I got home locked, and then it was like all day, a lot of like phone calls with complaints, and then I had just come out of home lock from COVID. Yeah. And then West Coast is still pretty locked down. Yeah, it was a lot more than us coming out of Florida. That was, completely different. And so we're kind of pretty lonely out there. We weren't meeting people because everyone's still like walking around with the mask on and trying to keep their distance and scared. And so after a while, it got rough. I got really close to the Lord during that time, because that's all I had. Like, he was gone all day, and I was just praying and listening to worship. And I actually got to learn the keyboard while I had that time. Would play the guitar a lot. Would spend a lot of time with Zora.
Shoot, there was one time that I felt that I experienced a miracle working the rideshare stuff because of car breakdown malfunction with the electrical systems. It was stuck with the horn on, and I couldn't move, and it was a terrible area, and it was dark. And I called you, and I think you prayed, or you said something encouraging, spiritual sounding. I don't remember the details, but suddenly the horn stopped in a timing that made it feel providential or synchronistic or, you know, whatever words. And so things like that were happening. We were meeting like music producers who were interested in your singing and my guitar playing.
We met the guy that did that song, Don't Drop That
Yes.
Da-da-da, hey, don't drop that da-da-da. That was pretty cool. We met him. He was so nice. I hope he's doing well. If he's not, please donate to him because he was such a great guy. But anyway, we moved to Phoenix. It was rough, but we got to go to so many cool places.
We did. What's that one that everyone loves, Sedona?
Sedona.
What did you think of Sedona?
Sedona was literally a magical experience. It feels as if you enter Sedona, you're in a different sphere.
You gotta go back.
A different energy. And we got to go up to the airport where we would see the sunset with all that red rock. And we did trails and their coffee shops. And they have the only McDonald's with a turquoise color.
That's so true.
On the
I
M.
forgot about that.
We got to go to Sedona like 3 times.
It's one of those places, like, I don't know if we'll talk more about Austin, but if you're a vibes person or an energy person, it is definitely the vibiest, energy-ist place.
They do a lot of those vortex rocks there.
Vortex rocks. Yeah.
What else? So Sedona was like 2 hours from Phoenix. We got to see the snow. We went to Flagstaff.
Right. Flagstaff was cool.
Which was also in Arizona. I had no idea it would snow in Arizona.
Was Andrew with us for that, or?
He went to Sedona with us.
Okay, he went to Sedona.
We went to the Seven Sisters, I think is the name.
Yeah, and we chased the was it the waterfalls or what was the magical stuff?
I forgot what it was. But it was really cool. What else? We went to Las Vegas. That was about 6 hours from Phoenix. A funny story, we were on our way there. Not funny because I was actually pretty upset about it. And then he was the one driving, but we're about an hour and a half into this 6-hour trip. And I'm like, oh, where's my purse? And the hotel reservations were in my name. So we have to turn around to get my purse with my ID in it. And then, so that turned it into 1 hour and a half, 3 hours. So a 9-hour trip. But anyway, it's only 6 hours from Phoenix to Las Vegas. We went to San Diego.
La Jolla was cool. I liked
beautiful,
La Jolla.
Beautiful. I loved La Jolla.
I didn't love Cali, but I did love La Jolla.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't think California is all that it's said to be. I prefer the East Coast, and I grew up, always thinking that California would be the coolest thing ever. And
I thought I'd love it.
I prefer Florida. I'm not gonna lie.
I preferred Scottsdale to anything that I saw in California.
And Paradise.
La Jolla was really cool. Like La Jolla was really cool, but I wouldn't live there.
Yeah.
Paradise Valley, very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Was that we're in Scottsdale now?
It's like a little bit after Scottsdale. It's like the rich live there. Like it was very fancy.
Yes, I remember
like
that.
I've never seen like properties on that level.
I only saw it in Dubai. There's something about desert wealth that's just louder.
It's crazy. It is so crazy. And then the sunsets in Arizona, our apartment would face Camelback Mountain, which literally looks like a camel. And every night we would see this, like all the colors of the sunset
Camelback Mountain,
right from our apartment. And I remember when we moved in, I was like, every single day I'm gonna like look at this. And about 6 months in, you just forget about it. And that seems like that's the thing everywhere you live. You're like, I'm gonna love this every single day so much. But unfortunately, as human beings, we just
that's how it goes. So I didn't get in. Long story short.
Yeah.
I didn't get in. You didn't get in. And I like fell to my knees and cried and said, "Why, God? Why did I fail?" And she had to comfort her poor little baby, her poor big baby.
Yep. So we moved December 2020.
Yeah.
And then July 2021. Remember, we have a whole year lease signed. We're just like, Lord, what are we doing? Do we stay here? We're missing Florida. We're missing the green grass. We're missing the parks. We're missing the people the friendships that we made here. We were lonely. We
thought maybe we could get the language. We also had a language school that did well after this point, but this is where it kind of came into existence, was here.
That's so true. While we were still in Arizona, we were trying to start his private English classes.
I thought it'd be a good way to sustain us in addition to like whatever job I found that wasn't rideshare. I wanted additional income that was more, independent.
From home, independent. And then if we wanted to live in Brazil for a while he was getting paid in dollars, we could make something like that work, because I was also really missing my friends from Brazil, because I hadn't realistically made close connections here that I can see frequently, because that's another thing. I mean, I guess that's just adult life nowadays, but when you live in a city, when you live more than 30 minutes away from someone, you're probably not going to see them more than once or twice a month.
I was going to say a year.
If that. There's people that we see once a year.
Sorry, I love you.
And we love these people, and it's just it just doesn't line up. And so I was just feeling so lonely, and one of my mom's friends at the time was like, "Why don't y'all just move back?" And I was like, "Why don't we?"
She's a great friend for getting you to jump into it.
Yeah.
Just jump in. If you need to jump in, have a jump in.
Those are good friends to have. Yeah. And so I was like, you know what? Let's just put our apartment up for rent for someone to take over our lease. And if this happens quickly, in my opinion, that's just what's meant to be. Mm-hmm. And in about 24 hours, we had 20 offers in my marketplace inbox.
Mhm.
And it was just a matter of like just going through and finding the first
And
one.
why do you think you had that flexibility, Kim? Because with these 20 offers, there were offers from people relocating. You know, I'll just get what I'm leading at is you did such a good job of researching before we moved there that you chose such a good product that we could easily like move on from it. It's a desirable.
Yeah.
So sometimes a desirable thing is flexibility, and you know, with this thing, it's gonna be easy to move on from because it was so well chosen. That's just a type of thinking that I admire about you.
Thank you.
So anyway, yes, you chose us a spot that was so well chosen. It was so easy to move on from.
Yeah. So within those 24 hours, I found the guy that he was recently divorced and he was needing to move quickly. And a few days later, he was already there signing the contract, and we had all of our stuff back in another pod. And we got in our car with Zora and drove back to Florida. And at this time, my mom had just called me as well, saying that at my old job, they were needing help, but with someone to inspect vacation homes. At this point, I'm like, I need a job. I need anything right now. And we took that. And I went back to ride sharing because it would make more doing that than working at a school here. And we were just like, Lord,
Well, sorry to interrupt, but because I want to give this moment its proper due. So I was even starting to pick up additional cleaning work.
Yeah.
So you'd get off property management, running around the whole town. I'd get off ride sharing. And maybe sometimes I would go clean before and then come pick you up, or however we'd arrange it. We're often, we'd end our work days cleaning together at this point.
And weekends.
And every weekend was the cleanings. And so we started to notice the cleaners were getting paid better than you and me.
In a few hours, they were making like what we were making in a whole week. Like, I'm not even kidding. I was driving all around Kissimmee, Orlando, Davenport, up and down, back to Orlando, back to Champions Gate. And I was just like, Lord, these cleaners are making like what we make in a whole week in one day.
Yeah.
And we were trying to pay off debt that we had accumulated from all these moves. And so we were like, yeah, we'll take the cleaning. We'll learn how to clean. And I had honestly never grown up cleaning before. Luckily in Brazil, my mom always had someone to help.
And I'm a whole boy.
And so we just like, we're going to learn how to do this and we're going to learn how to do it well because I don't want any complaints. And that just really took off, didn't it?
So fast.
So fast.
So fast. And well, last time I talked about you being visionary, and it was a moment that stood out to me. You one morning said, God, we just need X, I'm not going to say the number, but we need this number. Is there anything that can happen? And I'll let you tell the miraculous follow through. Yeah,
so that morning I prayed to God and I was just open and honest with him with the amount that we needed. Like we just needed that amount to be able to live comfortably and live in a way that I believe everyone deserves to.
Yeah.
And I threw the number out there. And that morning I got a phone call from someone that worked on the commercial side of this property management company asking if we could manage these 2 buildings in Clermont. And at that time we lived in Orlando, close to the Violent Outlets. That would be 45 minutes each way each day. But I'm just the type of person that it's like, I asked the Lord for this thing and he sent the blessing. I'm not going to worry about the details. Let's just go with it and make it work. And we have the energy, we have the time, we have the motivation. We're young, we don't have kids. Let's just go. And we said yes. We took the opportunity. We did great. And I said, Niles, now we need to get our clients. We need them to be the people that work at this building because we don't want to be driving all over the place and then having to do all this marketing. And so we're going to do a really good job at this building. And maybe about a month in since we had started, one lady asked if we cleaned residential homes. And we at this point did clean residential homes, but for move-ins and move-outs.
Never with people present.
People weren't present. They didn't live in the home. It would be to like completely make it look brand new for whoever was going to come in.
There was no price or contract negotiations involved because there was sort of a standard practice in place in terms of pricing for what we had done to that point. So it was a kind of a leap into the real business world rather than just the service provision world.
Yeah. And so she asked if we would do it, and we said yes. That was for me a huge thing that I had to overcome because I was always so embarrassed to think about us cleaning with someone being there and watching us. And I don't know, I just never.
I got comments from the men, like the husbands.
Yeah.
They say things, I just can't stand watching a man clean a toilet. It's like,
and we just experienced, we can maybe get into that later too, but I will tell you one thing is that there are good people out there and there are bad people out there, and you know how they treat cleaners.
Even the guy who had the comment, he was a really good guy, actually. I liked that guy a lot.
What did he say?
Oh, the ones I can't stand to watch a man cleaning a toilet. He's just older generation.
Yeah,
like that was that's just old school talk.
Yeah.
My grandpa would have said the same type of thing. He was actually a really cool guy.
Yeah, no, he was good. But we've heard all kinds of comments, and maybe someday I'll share them with you guys. But people really look down on you if you're a cleaner. They think that you're just like, the last class of whatever it is and think that you're trash. And sometimes we're making a lot more than, whoever that is. And anyway, it doesn't matter about the money part, but it's like, it's really crazy where people's minds are at and how, I don't know what the word is.
Well, anyway, there's an old saying, those who kick down and kiss up show their character, and those who just treat everybody well tend to be long-term successful. So anyway, back to the point was we're moving across the whole South. We went to Phoenix, then we came back. Now you know how we're situated in Phoenix. So now we found ourselves in a much better financial situation where we're able to quickly pay off debt and start traveling, start saving, start making forward progress. And then we found out about my sister's glioblastoma. And we were commuting 45 minutes a day to these commercials in Clermont. And what I wanted to get to about Clermont was, so you had the vision for the contract that we needed, the Lord provided. And then as we're driving, you had another vision beyond the lady who client for residential thing that happened. You had a vision for Clermont. You were looking around and seeing and researching and using all the stuff I've been talking about. We're driving and I'm like very exhausted because it's many nights that I, worked 18 hours and slept 4 at this point, and she's feeling bad for me. And she starts to describe to me her vision of what would it look like if we set up here. And so I'll now pass to you that I've finally gotten us to, describing what went into your analysis in choosing Clermont.
Well, so whenever I started adding up the 45-minute commute, first of all, every day that came out to an hour and a half each day that we were just throwing into the trash, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And when I added that up per week, 3, 6, 7.5, so 15, 30 hours a month just commuting. That's almost like almost a full-time job, like a 1 week full-time job, 30 hours.
And I did the math on repair, gas, tread. It was,
and then our bodies, like our back pain from sitting in the car that long. And then by the time we got to the job, we were already tired from the drive. And it was just really starting to stack up, especially because in between that job and going to the next job, we weren't going to drive all the way back home again. And we didn't have time to have breakfast. So we would have to have Starbucks for breakfast every day. And so I started gaining weight. He started losing weight because he loses weight like really easily. And then we started spending money because we had to have breakfast while we're out. And then we need to eat before we have a long clean, because sometimes it might be a 2-hour clean or it might be a 6, 7 hour clean.
So the math for time management and money management was stacking up.
Exactly.
You were seeing the problems. And so a solution occurred to you. And what I loved about when you presented me the solution, you were already ready with Wellness Way, Olympus Project, for when we were doing real estate work. It would be a great place to be set up already, have friends and community already for when because we knew we weren't staying in Cleveland. We were already talking about hoping to kind of like follow in the footsteps of that lady we met who became kind of our mentor now. She inspired us, and so we're thinking, maybe, if she thinks we could do it, maybe we can. And you threw out, what if we tried to make Clermont our farming area and we move out there? And so that impressed me.
I genuinely fell in love with Clermont. And then when you fall in love with the place, it's so easy to see all of the good things about it. And it's just so clear. Like once you get here, you're going to see it and you're going to experience it, or you're going to hear us talking about it, because we're just so obsessed with Clermont. And I'm even scared to talk about it too much because I also don't want it to be overdeveloped and overgrown. But right now there's so many new communities coming up, and then this Wellness Way project and the Olympus project. There's just a huge opportunity coming, and you can just feel it. And I just want people to be aware of it and get more information on it, because it's like that point where it's like right now is the time.
Yes, well,
the sooner the better.
Absolutely, because you had timelines for when constructions were projected to be completed for things like the hockey facility. I think we don't actually have hard data on that now, but at the time, somewhere on the internet, it was thrown out that there may be, I think it was content, other realtors you were following. But you had the timeline for when our kids are this age and they're at this stage in the process of pursuing their, collegiate athletic careers, they will have access to Noah Lyles' track facility, a hockey facility associated in some way to a professional hockey program or team.
Yeah.
You can go into the details of what you found better than me, but I'm trying to convey to y'all that she doesn't just present you, this matches your numbers. She does the numbers. You heard that. But she goes into like, what are your kids' lives going to be 10 years from now? How does it project into the future?
Yeah. I honestly, this is the really funny part, is that I knew everything about Clermont, but I did not realize that Clermont was literally the city of champions.
Yeah.
If you Google it, Clermont is known to be the city where the Olympians come to train. And that blew my mind, because I'm like, I've always grown up, I love sports. Any sport out there except golf, I'm good at it. I'm sorry.
Yes, confirm.
And so I was like, man. And then we had just started our fitness journey, and we want to get to the best version of ourselves. And I was just so inspired by knowing that we're like drinking the same water that other Olympians, even though I don't drink tap water. But you know what I mean? Like I felt like we're breathing the same air.
Yeah, well, and in terms of networking, so my friend who teaches golf, I met him here at our gym.
Yeah.
But these are the types of people I hoped to get to start meeting when we were thinking about where we would live. And when you suggested Clermont, I was like, oh, dude, other athletic-minded people, that's where I want to have scaffolding to support me in continuing that goal, because otherwise I might, and community is a great way to do that. Claremont, let's go.
Yeah, and then I'm already thinking like our children. I want them to train and
With the
breathe
best.
the same air that Olympians breathe, and to train and have access to the best trainers and the best schools and the best sports programs, and like literally the little league in Mount Dora. They were in the World Series for baseball very recently. So it's like this area right here also for sports, and
sorry, I keep interrupting you, but in the micro, the way they're intending to build the Wellness Way corridor and the Olympus project means everywhere there's these little running trails, bike trails, and so it's going to continue to be an environment where you can cultivate that lifestyle for your family if that's one of your goals.
Yeah, for sure.
There's for us, it was.
And then we're in an area where the weather is pretty stable. Like it's not going to be snowing. Maybe it'll be one day out of a miraculous day where snow happens. But you can have access most of the time to do all of your outside activities, and for mental health too, like just being able to go outside and run and do whatever the exercise thing that you like to do. It's just been game changing for us.
Sufficient sun vitamin, big deal. And so we ended up here, and now we've, I think, covered our story of how we've toured the South.
Yeah.
I'd like to go into the 4 cities that we consider the 4 cities. If we were to expand real estate, we would want to choose these 4. Mm-hmm. First is Clermont. We're here for that reason. Yeah. We've gone into it. Number 2 is Austin. We still like sometimes like, what if we someday move back to Austin? Because I'm Austin.
If I move back to Texas ever, it has to be Austin.
There.
Because Austin is just, and then when we go to visit, I just can't wait to go there.
Yeah. But number 3, if I'm remembering the order of the list right, was actually Savannah over Scottsdale. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about why would Savannah top Scottsdale? We've already talked a little bit about it. But why for you, Savannah? I mean, it is closer to us, first of all.
Yeah, it is closer. It is on the East Coast. I believe because of the history behind it. It's like one of the old towns where, a lot of things went down. Yeah. It's pretty rough. But when you get there...
It's good to face it, though.
When you get there, it's like you can feel like what happened there, and it has a really intense energy. But it's also so beautiful. Like everything's so well preserved and so valued. And it just feels so good to be there.
I might be going a little too heady or deep with this, but for me, it was remembering things has value in 2 ways. You want to remember the good and the bad. And so there, I feel like you can face the good and the bad of what makes America so unique. It's trying to do something new and different. That's hard. And we've done it so messily that there's a lot of hurt around that project. But when I went to Savannah, I kind of got inspired with hope. Yeah. But a cautious reminder of every hopeful endeavor can get messy, and you've got to always be very careful about the human collateral. Translating that, I guess, deep thought into like how we can approach real estate. Our personal history is not clean in terms of our locations. We didn't just immediately pick the right place, and it may not be in our search for the right asset or homestead for you that you immediately find the right place. But I do believe in the journey being the thing that gets you to that sweet, perfect fit, that Cinderella's kiss.
This actually reminded me of something really interesting that I did want to point out, going back to our journey in Arizona. While we were there was a lot of symbolism. Yeah. The city had a lot of murals painted, and it had a lot of symbols on signs that were very interesting. They weren't just like these boring symbols. They were. And there was one that it looked like a labyrinth.
Circular maze labyrinth.
It was a circular maze with the labyrinth in it, and it had a little man in the middle. And then when we looked it up, it was the man in the maze. And the whole thing behind it is that in life, we all going through this journey, and there's no right or wrong turn. There's no left or right. At the end of the day, you're going to go through your own maze, and you're going to understand later why you went that way. And it's all going to make sense someday, but there's no right or wrong, or I made a mistake. And so also, while we were in that journey, feeling so lost and like what are we doing? We also are like, oh, there is no right or wrong. We could have made a left turn, but there's still another turn up the road, and we're going to learn from this at the end of the day, right?
Very well said. I'm sorry for the interruptions with the dog barking while you're on such a profound, beautiful run there. But thank you. That was exactly it. That it's important to keep in mind that oftentimes the road to the very best possible outcome is not the optimum path that's clean cut without missteps. Missteps are how you make new realizations that make you align your priorities better to the reality you're facing. Anyway, here's where the remembering at Savannah connects with the man in the maze from Scottsdale, was that fear of risk and decision paralysis. Mm-hmm. During this time frame, we learned how to face the adversity of, I'm afraid to make a mistake, but I've got to just go anyway. And the man in the maze was a good symbol for that. And then the history of this joint American project is a good grounding. So when you're going to do something new, like try to navigate the maze, you got to remember, okay, we're going to have to cut all of it.
No, it's great. Keep going. The man in the maze, what? I'm loving it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, to me, it represents like if we're talking as a metaphor for the journey of the buyer's family. Don't forget the kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like their experience through the process of going through this maze.
Yeah.
It matters to care about the human collateral. A change, a move, a journey, it is sacrifice. For a kid, you're losing your school, you're losing your friends, you're losing everything you built towards sports. Like you had
Yeah.
scholarships lining up for you as a junior high athlete in basketball and volleyball, and you had to leave those behind. Then in the Brazilian club league, you were getting attention for your performance in sports there, and then you had to leave that behind again. And those sacrifices, I see it in your face. It hurts to this day because those dreams mattered, and moving made you lose them.
Yeah.
And so, you know, maybe you get really connected to a particular house and you're envisioning your life there with your kids. And then through negotiations, it just doesn't match up. Those heartbreaks are going to happen. They're going to happen in your life. They're going to happen in our process together. But we understand how to face them, process them, move forward with hope for the promised land while caring for the kids along the way and how you feel along the way. We're not going to like brush over how you felt when you lost your dream property. We'll make room for that experience, but we're also not going to let you give up. We're not going to let you lose hope. The best is still to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that's what I feel like we learned from Savannah and Scottsdale. Why did we choose Savannah over Scottsdale? It was closer for one.
Yeah, it's a 4-hour road trip from Orlando.
And then the architectural beauty was unique.
The history. And
the history. And
it's also where they filmed one of the scenes for the Forrest Gump movie, which is one of my favorite movies. And we got to go see one of the monuments that they have. But then while we went to see it, we parked on the side of the road for like 5 seconds. And when we turned around, we already were getting fined. So that was fun.
That wasn't so fun, actually.
But that was actually a really fun road trip. I'll just add that in real quick. If you live in Orlando, we did a quick road trip where we stopped in Savannah. So we did Orlando, Savannah. That was 4 hours. And then Savannah, Charleston. That was another 2 hours. And then Charleston to Rosman, North Carolina, which is right on the border of South Carolina with North Carolina. And that's where we got to see the Pretty Place Chapel. It's the chapel where you see the cross in the mountains. And we stayed in a cabin there for a few days. If you want to go, make sure to check the website for the dates that it's open because you might get there and it not be open. But it is free.
If you want to DM us, you don't have to be about real estate. We'll tell you about how to travel to some cool places we've been.
Yeah, that's something we've done with our car has been all over the place. We love road trips, so.
And so, feel free to talk to us about real estate, travel, lifestyle investment, any of this stuff.
Exactly. We love it.
For me, I'll go over what I thought for Clermont, Austin, Savannah, and Scottsdale quickly. Okay. Just so that people can get an idea for these areas in case they interest you. We may have contacts there we can reference you to if you may invest in these environments. Clermont, what I loved about it was the intentionality with the planning and development and the way they're growing strategically. You know, they're not zooming for as much growth as quickly as possible. And I feel safer in terms of if I'm going to have my homestead, also second purpose be asset and I want to return on my investment. I just enjoy a more methodical pace because Austin is volatile. It's tech, it's fast money, it's big changes, huge companies, stocks go up, then they go down, and apparently you got to adapt.
There was a lot of relocation from California to Austin as the new.
It's disruptive.
It's the new the tech hub.
It is the new tech hub.
So, yeah.
And then I would say velocity and adaptability. If that's something that appeals to you, Austin might actually be a great place for you to look into.
Yeah.
Savannah, it was the preservation, the history. If you're going to do business in Savannah, I feel like you need to be very, very precise and intentional and demonstrate a deep, intimate connection with the place. You're not going to come in as an outsider and put up a restaurant that's just going to connect with the locals, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But where that is the case, the leverage and opportunity is loyalty and durability. Then for Scottsdale, it was just luxury, beautiful. Everything was so pretty.
It seemed also to be like the bridesmaids hub. So if we were out having dinner in Scottsdale, there would come 10 girls come in and they'd be having their, the bachelorette
parties.
And everybody was just so free, but also very preppy and very high end. And
what's the car with this one?
The Maserati.
So many of those.
Even more than that.
Oh, ones that I don't recognize. You were oh, that's from such and such country. And I'm like, oh, there's other cars in it.
Yeah, the luxury level in Scottsdale is pretty crazy.
So I really enjoyed getting to see and have access to that luxury. I would love to do business there someday, but I'd want to have a lot of capital and runway to make sure that I did it right. And so anyway, Clermont, Austin, Savannah, Scottsdale, I like them because it's not Houston, Miami,
Yeah.
Atlanta, and Phoenix. Because where we're working is family
Mhm.
and lifestyle investment, and all of these places have in common a huge health-centered culture.
Yeah.
Austin's running, Clermont's Olympics, Savannah also had a lot of running
Yeah, I did.
and hiking and nature-based sports, and Scottsdale, everybody was pretty fit.
Yeah.
I would say it was a little bit more on the gym, like indoor.
Yeah, it was. It's pretty hot, so.
But that's why I like these 4 cities as places to compare. They're good reference points for us if we're going to keep talking about Clermont.
Yeah.
If we want to go on a broad national scale, these are 4 places I'll probably always, or 3 other places I'll keep in mind to represent parts of the South.
We probably won't. What did you say? The seatbelt? Like we probably won't talk about above
Nothing
the
above
seatbelt
the
because
seatbelt.
anything that's cold, we just don't know. We're not going to speak on it. So
Yeah.
Good luck out there.
It's a mix. It's a fun. It's like, to me, it's not a formula. It's like a recipe in the kitchen.
Exactly. You know, some things work for some people and then not for everyone, right?
Yeah. And welcome back to the Pfeiffer Family Podcast. We're going to move on to the second half of our show now, where we dive into a little bit about negotiation strategy, because it's fun to talk about negotiation. It's a topic with tension.
Let's do it.
Cool. I hope it's interesting to you guys. We'll see if you let me know if it's boring in the comments, please. Let's cut that. We'll start again.
No, that was great. Stop saying cut it. Just go.
Okay. And welcome back to.
You want me to do it?
Yes. Okay, I got it.
And welcome back to the second segment of the Pfeiffer Fam Podcast today. And Niles is going to continue our conversation as we transition from our relocation. As we transition from talking about relocation and all these different cities and what we think about them, he's now going to get into negotiation, which he likes to get into the nitty gritty, like the topics that nobody wants to talk about. And so
I hoped it would be interesting. Y'all can let me know in the comments if you don't want us to talk more about this, but to give a little bit of the behind the scenes and a little bit of an insight into how we approach doing business, because we are your agents. We represent you.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to represent quality people well. That's my goal as a representative.
Yeah.
So if what I'm about to describe in my approach doesn't appeal to you, that's great. Know that.
Yeah. Yeah, not everyone is made for everyone. We want to make sure that we can work well together. And if we're not the right fit for you,
I'll find the right fit for you.
Yeah, exactly. We have so many realtor friends and that we would love to refer.
Absolutely.
But also, like, if you've gotten to this point and you've listened to this much and you've enjoyed being with us, then I think that we'll have a good time. We're pretty fun, approachable people.
Well, and so that's what I would say is not my negotiation strategy.
Yeah.
But in general, I think you want to be as warm as possible, but also indicate immovability subtly. It's like, I am on your team in that we're working together to do something, but I'm also very heavy to move. How does that feel for you? Is that what you would say is what I roughly do in the...
I don't know about, what do you mean by heavy to move?
For example, if we're going to present a low offer to counter, I'm not going to be like, here it is, I know it's low. I'm going to be like, here's our offer because our client is strong and I'm strong.
Yeah.
But when they, if they say, whoa, this is way too low, I'm not going to respond with aggression.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to respond with warmth and kindness and like, totally, dude.
Yeah. I mean, we're just, representing what our buyer wants, and that's what they wanted to offer. And then we go from there. We already knew in that situation that there would be counters. And so, but at the end of the day, we're just representing what our client wants. And
so how to approach counters. So, low, high, haggle. There's a lot of thoughts about it. Some would say the old school traditional approach is every deal I make is a big win. And I'm not opposed to that mindset. I do like it. I admire it. I admire those dogs, alpha dogs. But we're under a refined brokerage. We are a refined brand, and I'd say we're more modern than old school in that we really want to think about long-term planning with sustainable compounding wins over time. So I'm not going to try to get you 10% below asking every single time. I'm going to try to get you 3, 4, or something sustainable that you can expect from us.
Whatever is fair, honestly.
I don't want to give out exact numbers.
Yeah, it's fair to both sides. So we're not trying to take advantage of anyone either. And we don't really want to represent someone that is trying to take advantage by, not making just make a fair offer. And so,
So a lot of people might say that an old school style approach to contract negotiation is something like every deal I make is a big win. And I do admire that approach. I love a big win. Blowouts are fun. But not every game is going to be a blowout, and we don't want to lose games that we should have won because all we wanted to do was throw Hail Marys.
Yeah, I like that.
And
You're so right.
And so we're not saying West Coast offense, which is every pass is short. We're not scared to play. But my actual goal, what I'm aiming at, is sustainable below asking price wins that accumulate over time, rather than I got you 3 deals of 10% under, but you missed out on the products that are going to give you the biggest ROI.
Yeah.
And that's just how I think that slightly more sustainable mindset gives you a long-term better outlook in terms of your net ROI in compound, in aggregate.
For sure.
So that's my personal outlook on it. But anchor low, yeah, you always anchor low.
I don't know. Maybe sometimes the price is fair. It depends if it's, a buyer's market or a seller's market. Sometimes there might be offers out there that you need to try to beat because that client really wants it. So you might actually be asking for more than what the offer is if you really want that property.
That's true.
So you just have to.
That's why we say we don't want to be formulaic. We don't want to use numbers like I think I said 10%, but please don't hold us to. I'm using placeholder numbers.
Yeah.
There's no formulas.
Exactly.
It is a case by case. Honestly, I'd want to research who I'm negotiating with before I even got into strategies about how to anchor or if to go above asking.
And that they just be honest with us, because this is going to become a relationship.
Yes.
And so for us to represent you well, we need to understand what you want from us and see if we can actually offer that to you, because maybe we can't. We'd love to do, as much as we can. We're overachievers. We're going to do everything for you. But if it's also something that doesn't align with our ethics and the code that we are upheld to, by our realtor association, then no, it's not gonna work for us.
Exactly.
Right?
And those are things you want to be upfront about from the beginning about expectation setting. That certain things are going to work and not work, but it's not personal. Nothing in real estate is personal. It's just context and context dependent feedback.
And one thing I want to note too is I think it's really important whenever we become, or once we start working together, that we do at least a phone call or go grab some coffee together and get to know each other.
I like the face-to-face.
I love face-to-face. You get to really know us, who we are as well. We're not out there trying to, take advantage of anyone.
That's true.
We're not starving. We're not trying to make money just off any transaction. Like, we want to find what you are looking for and get that for you. And we're not going to try to shove anything down your throat or make you buy anything. We want to be there by your side, guiding you and helping you in the process.
Yes.
But I just hope you guys know that we're not trying to make you buy anything. We're just there to support you along the way. And that's it. We're not trying to take advantage of anyone.
Right. I think one of the key things is Kim usually has a very good eye for what's fair. Like, I think through property management and talking to owners and just background experience, you have an intuition that I trust deeply when it comes to so-and-so is offering this or such and such is wanting that. But in the end, this is what I think is fair. And that is something that comes with experience.
Yeah. I also don't want to just, use intuition for something that's such a high.
True.
It's such an expensive transaction, like a mortgage or anything like that. But I also love that we have access to incredible people that can help us and guide us, and great realtors and our brokerage. And so even if it's something that we don't know, because we don't know every single thing, we have access to these incredible people that have so much experience doing anything from the lowest to the highest transaction. And if there's anything that we don't know, they've been through it. They have experience, and the experience speaks for itself. So we feel safe. Even if we don't know for sure, we will get that information for you. Even if we have to bring that person on with us, that's fine too, if it's going to be beneficial for everyone.
Get on to the questions.
Okay.
A bunch of people asked us questions. I was surprised how many people for a first episode.
I know.
So thank you guys, family and friends. Your support is wonderful. I'm not going to say who asked this question, but I'm going to ask it to Kim because I thought it was kind of funny. So who made the first move? Was it Kim?
What do you think? What do you think? Do you think I did? No. And then I wonder who put this question in here.
Yeah.
No. Who made the first move?
I make the first move.
Oh.
I always make the first move.
Okay. Okay.
I don't respond well to women who are aggressive or flirtatious.
Good. You shouldn't. Okay. Number 2. What made you pick the Central Florida market?
Stability, a track record of stability, reputation. Having a reputation of predictable market forces like migration and economic factors. Like Orlando is close and Miami is not far. And so these things, along with, I'll say, the laws are favorable to real estate stuff here. And so that's another big factor for the market. Even though it's not a local factor, it is a factor.
Cool. Number 3.
Whoa.
Oh, you're going to ask me? Okay.
I answer all the questions.
Oh, okay.
What signals tell you a city or area is a good place to choose properties as assets, specifically focusing on ROI?
I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that question.
I think you want to look for signs of growth. And you want to look for, if you can look in the public records and see generally properties are selling in increasing amounts on the title history. Those are good things to look at that can be indicators. But also, it doesn't need to be a lot of young people, but I remembered about places that are economically dead. There's mostly all a certain, everyone's established already and there's not too many young people.
That makes sense.
And so things that appeal to younger people can be, to me, a sign of, a place that has opportunity, because young people need opportunity.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, now my turn to ask you questions.
Okay.
Since I ended up answering that one.
Okay.
Okay, cool. How do you evaluate whether Wellness Way is hype or real opportunity?
It is real opportunity.
I'm glad you got this one.
But again, I don't have any specific numbers, so I'm just going to speak on what I think and what I believe, and just seeing all of the investments in the area of not just Central Florida, but Clermont specifically, as we're talking about Wellness Way. We are seeing the growth happen every day. It's not like that construction that starts and doesn't end. In the United States, that's one thing I can say. Things work, they happen. The project is established, it's going to get done. The money's put in, they're going to get the return. And so I don't see how they would put this much money developing this entire area, growing the Olympus project, having the Wellness Ridge area growing. What else? We have like new grocery stores. Like there's a Sprouts coming in down the road. We're seeing new businesses also come into the Clermont area. We also have the Seven Brews Coffee that was just put up there recently.
The downtown seems like it's invigorating.
Yeah.
Because it's a smaller downtown and it's not the easiest to access. Like it's not in the middle of everything. And yet the businesses there are staying and growing. Like we have a spot, Cosa Nostra, like we love Cosa Nostra, and they are blowing up.
They're blowing up.
Well, and so if a business is blowing up and it's a newer business, that to me is another good sign.
Yeah, exactly. So, so I should ask you the next question.
Oh, thank you. You got it this time.
How do you personally think about risk?
It was cool that unintentionally, this episode kind of matched this question pretty good. We talked about risk with the Scottsdale and the other S, Savannah.
Yeah.
And I used to be much more risk adverse. And I'm now much more comfortable with what goes around approaching risk decisions to feel like I've mitigated the negative potential and maximized or optimized the positive potential for the outcomes. And I can sleep easy knowing that I've got contingencies for every worst case scenario and I've been through worse.
Yeah.
And so risk is a little bit fun.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if that's the right way for me to say it. Maybe somebody's gonna be like, oh no, he's crazy. Get him out of here.
I mean, it's not for everyone. And once you've been through as much as we've been through and risked as much as we can, it's like once you bungee jump once, you'll bungee jump again, and then you'll go a little bit further and further and further. And so our faith has been also tested so much throughout all these years that it really, I'm not gonna say, Lord, make it hard or anything, but like we've been tested and we've been through it, and so it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't feel scary anymore.
Cool. I'm glad you agree. I thought it was like gonna sound crazy.
No.
Cool. Next question. You ready?
Yes.
Cool. What's the biggest mistake first-time buyers make when relocating?
That's a great question.
I'm gonna modify it just a little bit.
Okay.
Let's just take buyers out. Sorry, friend. It's a good word. It's just that I want to generalize it a little bit. So relocation. What's the biggest mistake people make relocating?
Do you have anything in mind?
If
you don't, it's okay.
Well, so I think the biggest mistake people make is, for example, just picking an apartment, signing up for the lease.
Like I did in Arizona?
Yeah. Well, no. You chose a great complex.
Yeah.
But not doing your due diligence and not reaching out to locals.
Yeah.
That was the thing you had said earlier that really stood out to me. If you can't reach out to locals, I would direct you to Facebook community groups.
Or a realtor.
Reach out to a realtor. They want to help you.
Because if you don't have someone that lives in that area that you can ask specifically that knows, okay, am I going to ask a stranger or am I going to ask a realtor that, again, this association is upheld by a very high standards.
Ethical.
And so ethical standards. And it's also one of the oldest professions in the book that you be managing huge deals with a lot of money.
A lot of times it's people's life savings going into a risk decision. And they want to feel safe.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do too.
Yeah, for sure. It's it's a big investment. So it's okay.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. Why work with 2 agents instead of 1?
You had a really good point about while I'm driving you're working on digital tasks. While you're cooking, I'm working on digital tasks. But it's all around one client's goals. And we both are fully clued in on all the stuff that has gone into it. A lot of times you'll get team situations where it's, here's a client, but okay, I don't know anything that went into any of the previous stuff y'all have done. What don't they want? And you end up wasting everyone's time.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't say always work with 2 agents instead of 1.
That's true.
Work with 2 agents who are working together.
Like a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like we are also like discussing the things all the time. So we're live and we're updated and we know what's going on. And so if I were one agent and you were a separate agent living somewhere else, that would still be harder to communicate. We do have a transaction we're currently working on with another realtor that we love. Yeah. And she's incredible and has helped us so much. So much. But even for her to stay clued in and everybody stay clued in, there's multiple chats going on. We're all the time hopping on calls to make sure everything is like, aligned, black and white and aligned cohesive, for everyone, because coherent. It can get confusing. Without, exactly that. We stay coordinated. Exactly. And we stay on point. And these are things that matter to me as a former coach when we're talking about team dynamics, that I'm pretty strict about. Everybody has a role. Everybody knows their role. Everybody has a lane, and we know our lane. And we've stacked the tasks for those roles appropriately to the individual. Yeah. And so we are getting systemic synergy with our team that everyone feels good. All of the people in our team of 3 feel like it's going great. That's a good sign that you've got good team chemistry. Yeah. And that's something, as a client, you want to join good chemistry. You don't want to join... Well, I won't say anything negative about any other peers in my profession, but you'll meet in any job all types of attitudes. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I honestly, for anything, if the other person I'm working with has a bad attitude, it just tells me it seems like they don't want to do their job and they don't want to be here. And for something, again, that's such a huge responsibility and such something so dear to you and so precious to you. Like, why are you going to leave it in the hands of someone that is showing you through their behaviors that it's not important to them? And for 2 to 1, it's important to them. In terms of our specific case, we have a unifying goal that is very important to us. We were in a coaching session for the newer agents with our brokerage yesterday, led by our what is his official? I call him Captain. Yeah, he's just incredible. Yeah, he's making sure all of us are empowered and enabled to be successful as individuals within the structure together. That works well together. He's a great team leader, great coach. Yeah. But in his thing, we both looked over at each other's, vision sheet, and goodness, we had Asher and Phoenix. We already have our kids' names picked out. Yeah, they've been picked out for so many, probably 7 years at this point. Yeah, those are 2 names that were very clear to us, and we already have our kids' names picked out, and hopefully it's a boy and a girl. And if it's not, we'll just figure it out. But it's our biggest dream to have babies and raise our children and be invested in them and give them everything we didn't get to have. And for us to do that, we need to be successful in real estate. And we've decided to literally dive in, give it our all, perform with excellence, learn, be a literal sponge from everyone that we can be around that will be open arms to us to teach us. And they have been. It's been incredible. It has been. And so, that's our goal. And we are like a dog after a bone. And we're not going to stop until we get that bone. For sure. And what I mean by that is it's probably, going to be an eternal chase because we're going to keep raising our standard. But again, our ultimate goal is to be able to be comfortable and have our children and not be stuck in a work schedule that we can't be there for them. Yes. I think the unified purpose keeps us motivated. Exactly. And driven. And then the unified system of working together guarantees better, more cohesive results faster for the clients. And I think with people who are willing to work well together on the team, you have the potential to get 2 + 2 = 5, and then 2 + 2 can equal 7 the next time. As each repetition, the team gets more synergistic, the results get more compounded with effectiveness. Yeah. And these are all things that I think the power of 2 is a real thing, and it applies to real estate agent work too. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So. Well, then we'll ask you more questions, feedback, comments. What do you want to know? What do you not want to know? Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this episode, please make sure to leave us a like, a comment, share with your friends, subscribe to our channel. We will be uploading these videos weekly in our long format as this podcast version, and we will also be releasing short form videos, so you can also digest it slowly if you don't want to watch the whole thing. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and we're so excited for next week. Please submit us your questions, anything you want to learn more about us, about Central Florida, about Clermont. about parks.
Travel. If you're curious about travel opportunities, if you're curious about Brazil, if you're curious about fitness lifestyle investment, we can talk about things other than work. It's all good.
Exactly. We're obsessed with work, but we're also obsessed with taking care of our health and our bodies and our minds. And if you want to keep growing with us and watching us,
you're welcome
stick
to.
around. We'd love to have you with us. Bye, guys. Cool.
Cool. Good.
Whoa.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
That's another one.